Give it a few seconds. All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. And today is a special day. I got my wife Felicia with me. Guess what? She's retired. She's not sure
Not
what to make of
technically.
this. Huh?
Not technically.
Not technically. Well, you are, but you're not. But yeah, you're on extended leave
Hmm.
until later this
September.
year,
Hmm.
and then you're gonna go permanently in retirement and collect your pension and all that great stuff. And so you've been retired for a month,
Just over a month.
just over a month. So kind of exciting, huh? All right. So we figured I can get my wife and introduce her and I guess do a bunch of Q&As with her and see how she likes retirement and what her thoughts about retirement is. And we're just playing around, having fun. And this is kind of awkward. She's not a You're an introvert, right? Extrovert, introvert. I don't know. Whatever. We'll have fun. But yeah, I'm going to ask a bunch of questions. And she's going to try to answer them. And she's going to tap my leg if I get too out of hand. So we're just trying to have fun with it, and we'll see what comes of it. So we'll try to keep it short. I'm gonna let you hold that.
Hmm.
Our handy dandy microphone. I'm gonna put on my nerd alert glasses here because I can't read. The first thing she said when I showed her at the camera, she said, "I look old."
I said, I look old. I didn't say he looked old. And that wasn't
Thanks for
something that you needed
clarifying.
to
Yeah,
share.
I
Yeah.
am young.
Older.
Oh,
Hmm.
older.
Hmm.
All right. So the first question I got is, how does retirement feel?
I don't feel like I'm retired yet because it's still early and I don't have the official paperwork or that check to figure out what retired really feels like.
Yeah, but in the last 30 days, we said last 30 days, right?
Just over 30.
Just over 30 days.
Hmm.
Okay. So the first month, technically you are retired. I mean, something could happen. They say, oh no, you got to come back or something, but we're hoping not.
Right. But I guess because it's not, I don't truly have that title yet. I don't have the final paperwork. I don't have whatever, I don't have the final plaque. I don't have, so I'm not saying I'm retired yet. I'm still figuring it out.
Okay.
Um, so the first week kind of felt like a weekend that just didn't end.
A long weekend, huh?
Yeah. And then it turned into, I guess, almost a vacation feel, a staycation, because we didn't leave the house.
We did. We had a lot of naps.
Speak for yourself. Um, but then probably by the third, maybe not the third week, the fourth week, I started feeling a little antsy
For what? Because you had to do something.
because I didn't have to do something.
Okay. Okay.
So we talked about how I felt like I got more done in the first 3 weeks, packing up the house, doing stuff like that, than like anything's been done in the last year
So.
because I had the time was all mine.
Oh, and well, and I went on that trip to Iowa during that time.
Hmm.
So you had all that free time with one dog. So so for everybody that doesn't know, we as soon as we've been waiting on her for her to retire, and then our goal was to pack everything up or downsize, and then leave the state and then go find new routes, go find some place where we want to settle and I guess spend the rest of our lives at as far as a home base, but we still want to travel a lot, right?
Like to travel, have some adventures while we can enjoy it.
Make memories.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's the goal. So we're in the phase right now of downsizing. So the whole time I was out for what 2 3 weeks, I can't remember.
I don't know, just over a week, so a week and a half.
Yeah, basically to go see my little niece graduate high school and send her off, and then come back. And my wife she is full force, heavy, just downsizing, and she's the pack rat in the house. She does not like throwing anything away, and I think you're enjoying downsizing a lot more than I am.
Um, I don't know if I would consider myself a pack rat. I think I like to play Tetris. Everything has a place or should have a place,
Doesn't
and
don't go
um,
doesn't go anywhere.
well,
You're not a hoarder, but
watch yourself.
you're you, you don't like to get rid of things because I get it. You might need it later.
Yeah, I like to not spend extra money on something we already have or had. And if there's some value to it, then it's as soon as you get rid of it and you remember, oh, I could have used that this week.
Yeah.
But I think the difference is thinking about what it is that you actually need to get by, vice what you thought you wanted at one time.
Yeah.
Um, so it was. I don't have ADHD. I have self-diagnosed OCD because I like things a certain way. Watch it.
Yeah.
But that said, we knew we wanted to make some changes, and we knew some of the things that we had to do was kind of go through what we had and figure out what we really wanted to keep. And that's really, really a hard thing to do when you feel like you're attached to all these things, that there's memories associated with everything. And um, I guess just trying to, so like for example, I started with Joshua's room because Josh doesn't have a ton of, he's not a big clothes person. He's not a big, like he doesn't hold on to things. I'm not gonna say he's not sentimental.
He's
He has
pretty
things,
minimalist.
but yeah. So it was easy enough to kind of start with his room, and he was excited at the opportunity, like, oh, we're gonna go, yeah, okay, here's what I need, here's what I want, here's what, I feel like I want to keep. So that was kind of what started the momentum.
Catalyst.
Right, I was able to we got his room done the first night, and it was like, oh, okay, now what? Because he's living in a packed up room. Now granted, everything's tucked to the side again, the whole Tetris thing comes into play, but it was like, okay, we can do this one room at a time. Well, then, like the ADHD, OCD, something kicks in, and I start in one room, get distracted, end up in another room because it makes me think, like, oh, I just did this. Maybe I need to do this. So maybe I start with all the clothes, or maybe I start with all of the this or that instead of one room at a time. Because moving from Joshua's room to the living room, which is a craft room, an office, a family room, you name it, if you can put something in it, Dog Central.
It's a big room.
Yeah. So trying to figure out how to break that down um, was a little bit harder. So I feel like I kept changing a little bit on what I was going to focus on, but eventually I'd start with one thing and try to finish that one thing. So I realized, okay, paperwork is something that's going to be a hard thing for us because
Yeah.
we save everything, and not just, bill wise, but because we have one child, not counting the fur babies. Um, and I thought, okay, I remember, growing up and only having some things saved, and I wanted to be able to save all the things. Well, when I say save all the things, I saved all the things. Like I found teeth, and we'll save that for later. But, you know, you want to save everything, you want to give them the memories, but you have to realize not everybody has the same attachment and or the same feelings about certain things.
Yeah.
So, kind of pushed through that. Um, Came up with a couple of different areas based on the things that we wanted to save paperwork wise, and reduce that down by a ton. We went through everything that was stored in the garage, everything that was stored in the house, and narrowed it down to, I don't know, between 6 and 10 to start, like fireproof boxes.
Yeah.
Now that's since whittled down, and it probably will go further, but just that was like a win. And it was like, oh, you feel a little bit lighter, like, okay, one last thing that you have to worry about. And hearing all these different things from other people about after somebody passes on and the things that they have to deal with, or the things that they want to keep or are not interested in, I think that made a difference too. And what I found when I started the cleaning, like I'm the one that wanted to save everything, and um, somebody else started digging through the trash and taking things out. Now, granted, that was around dog toys and old dog bones and stuff, and I thought, oh God, we're never going to get through this, because here I am finally willing to release some things that I probably wouldn't have gotten rid of before, and he's gone into the trash behind me to make sure it's something that, we really want to get rid of or not. Um, so funny, but not funny, because now things are changing a little bit in that I'm like, all right, let's just get rid of it. And that's a really hard thing to do, because again,
Yeah.
my gut is give it to somebody else, donate it, sell it, because you want to get some kind of cash back. And then don't get rid of everything, because then what happens if you get rid of everything? You have nothing and you start all over again. But you're not going to have the same income. You're not going to have, savings the same. Like everything
Right.
changes. And so it's a lot of questions and thought and what ifs, not knowing,
Right.
unknowns.
And I think because we don't have an idea or a goal to say, hey, we're going to move into a house that's bigger or smaller, or we don't have an idea what the next place that we're going to live at. We don't know if it's going to be a tiny home, an RV. We don't know if it's going to be a mansion. We don't know if it's
No,
just
it's
going to
not
be
a
a hermit house or tents out in the woods like when I was a kid.
No, it's not
But
Tenderwood.
because of that, we also know that all the nice furniture we have, and I think it got really accelerated when we got the little storage unit delivered to the house. And then this is the first box of two. This is all our kids' stuff that's going to go to where he's going to stay at. And then the next crate that's coming is going to be what we're going to keep. And the stuff that's going down with him is significantly more than what we're going to end up keeping, because once that's gone, there's still some big furnitures like couches, tables, and a few things that we're not going to put in storage. We're going to sell, but it's not going to go with us. Now, these are nice furniture and stuff like that. We're going to keep some things, but we don't know if we're going to have the space to put these things in.
But I guess that's what kind of changed things. I don't know that the pod was the catalyst or whatever word you want to
It's
use.
accelerated. That's I feel like it accelerated once it got here.
Maybe for you, but I think because I went through everything before that, so I had a better feeling of, because like you said, I packed and I sorted and I organized and I did all those things while you were gone. And so I had a good 3 weeks of going room by room and trying to figure out, okay, what do we really need? And then putting it to the side for you to make a decision on some of the things that, just needed another, thought on. But it's still the hard process of, we've been in this home for 25
Yeah, since
years.
1999.
So
It's close to being paid off. In a sense, we don't have any debt other than the mortgage and the utility bills, of course, but we don't have any other bills. We've done everything here. Joshua was what, one, just turned one when we first came to Maryland. Go lay down.
he had
Come on.
his first birthday here.
Oh, oh. Somebody's got to be a nuisance. Sorry. Lay down. Um, I deal with a lot of this with them. Come on, lay down. I'm a goof nut. All right. Anyways, so yeah, other than getting sidetracked, I think a lot of the changes and stuff, kind of looking forward to.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things, like if we back up a bit, in that I was not expecting to retire early,
No,
this
we
early
actually
at all.
we
So,
planned for 52, 55, 52, right?
well, you started trying to plan yours. We said till 55. You went earlier than that. That blew things up because all of a sudden we had no health insurance. We
Yeah.
had, it was just a lot of changes with that. But then once that kind of stabilized and, realized we could survive on just my paycheck. We were doing fine. Yeah, we make some adjustments.
Yeah.
We look at the budget again, figure out the things that we, really didn't need to spend money on, or maybe we needed to be, to reconsider. But once I was comfortable with that, I was like, okay, it didn't really change for me because you had already been working remotely. You had worked from home. Um, so you were home every day. That didn't really change for me. But um, the more frustrated I guess I got with some of the things going on in the world, at work, just the more I tried to think about, okay, well, um, why should you be sitting at home all day and I continue to work to support your butt doing, whatever it was, not going back to work, talked about some hobbies, but not really seeing anything with the hobbies. And
Yeah.
um, I knew you were looking at some other things and, you were trying some other things. But again, from my perspective, I'm still coming home and cooking and cleaning and, laundry and doing all the stuff. So I still basically have two jobs. Um, and you and the dogs are sitting home making messes. And um, so I started to think more about, okay, what does retirement look like for me if we stuck with the age that he went at? Because again, fair's fair, and if you got to go at that age, then why do I have to work longer, right?
Right.
Just being honest, what was going through my head at the time, and trying to figure out, okay, what did that mean? And one of the things that was helpful, I mean, yes, you gave me that book to kind of think about some things to consider that you'd done some research and looked into, and there was not time in my schedule to do any of that before. Um, but I started to think, and it's not the first time that it's come up, what's important to me, and family's always been extremely important to me, and trying to figure out how to have more time with family and have more, again, it just goes back to the adventure, being able to do things um, with my niece and nephew, knowing that they're already a certain age and they'll continue to grow without me, and just calling, once a week or whatever the frequency is, just didn't feel like enough. Um, Having, my kid who is a man grow up in my home and not really having time with him. Um,
Yeah.
Us not having enough time for adventure. Like we'd start to, like we took trips that were great and amazing, and you think back different places that we've gone, like when we went to Maine, just trying to do something quickly, but that was the problem.
You rushed. Yeah. Well, because you only get so much time off for
Right,
vacation, so you rush. Yeah, you're right, rushing.
right. You rush so much to get where you're at that you don't enjoy the trip, and then by the time you get back, because you've rushed to get back, you need a couple of extra days before, just to like get your head straight before you go back to work,
Yeah.
and that just wasn't fulfilling enough. um
No,
it,
I agree. I hated the rush, and I felt like I had to rush to get someplace so that we can begin to have fun. But it wasn't fun because then it took a day or two to recoup for rushing straight through with no rest or very little rest to get
Hmm.
someplace. And then you're doing the same thing to get back because you're trying to maximize fun time before you have to go back to work. And don't, since I've been retired and I take a little trip to like Louisiana or whatever, well, this last trip we took, a little rushed. Um, but going out to Iowa, or at least some of the other trips, it wasn't bad. I took my time and I felt like I got like back home faster, just relaxing, take my time. Before when I was working, yeah, I rushed. I mean, I would drive 24 hours straight to get you home to see your mom and dad and brothers, but I would spend the whole day just trying to recoup. That was rough on me. Yeah,
And that's the kind of stuff that made it harder to consider traveling full time because I didn't want to do that. I didn't want you to be burned out, no fun by the time we get somewhere because you just need to crash because you refuse to rest because you just wanted to hurry up and get there.
yeah, yeah. It's all about trying to make sure you guys had good quality, fun time, more than myself.
But it didn't help because we wanted to include you. You really didn't want to participate because you were tired or whatever.
Yeah,
And then seeing the strain that it's putting on you physically, the soda to try to keep you awake,
yeah.
the Red Bull,
The crashes and ups and downs.
yeah, the
Yeah,
junk and all of that stuff, it just wasn't, it's not sustainable
no.
that way. Um,
So what is out of all the vacations that we've had and all the places that we've been, what's the one that sticks out of your head the most that you enjoyed the most?
oh, that's hard. Maine, because we just talked about it,
Maine was
someplace
good.
we had never been. Um, Started looking at lighthouses,
Yeah, lighthouses. I mean, we went to go
lighthouses,
visit all the lighthouses we could.
right? And then we also was the Arboretum in Maine.
Oh yeah,
Was that
that's
the
where you
first place we
trolls. That's where
found?
you
The
introduced me to those trolls.
Thomas Danbo trolls.
Yeah,
But we laid on the beach, which the sand was great. The water was freezing,
yeah,
which was still kind of fun. Everybody's out at the beach. It's super hot, but the water is ice cold, and you've got kids that are in there that are trembling next to you, but they're so excited that I don't know. I guess they've just lost all sensitivity at that point. They can tolerate it. Um,
yeah. It was neat. Maine was a really neat place, and I feel like we kind of took our time,
we
but
didn't have we didn't have anything planned,
no, we did.
really.
Yeah, you're right. Other than the going seeing the
Blueberries.
trolls, but
Well, no, the
oh, the
festival, the
blueberry
blueberry
festival
house, because I had a thing for blueberries, and when we got there, it was
closed.
closed, because we didn't realize that it wasn't in season for Maine, so it wasn't
I thought it
so
was just closed on Mondays or something like that.
well, there were a lot of things that were closed that we didn't learn about Maine because
Yeah.
uh, they just don't do anything like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They live for the end of the week and the weekends because
Yes.
that's where they have more business and so there are a lot of things that were closed, a lot of things that closed early.
Yeah. It was nice. I enjoyed that. I think the one that stands out the most for me, and I don't know if it was more of a vacation for you and Joshua. It's when I was working the 3 weeks straight in Monterey,
Mm,
and being able to spend at least the weekends with you two, and,
mhm,
and I think that for me, seeing the giant redwood trees, the sequoia trees,
mhm.
to me that just blew my mind. I mean, I would love to go see those again, but that's kind of sticks out in my mind more than I think anything. Uh,
Mhm.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the outdoors and just seeing nature and stuff like that. But that one there, I always remember. And we did other things in Monterey and everything else. And you guys kind of did your own thing during the week. And
Mhm.
then the weekends, I had you, and we would go do certain things. And I remember going to we didn't have a plan. We didn't know where we were going, but being able to drive through the giant redwood forest to me was amazing. I enjoyed
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, California, definitely. I had never been before. You had.
But yeah, I've
Um,
lived there a few times. Yeah.
I loved it. I would go back in a heartbeat. The weather was amazing, and even though we ended up getting rained on one day,
Yeah.
and when we left, my scalp was sunburned to where it like literally peeled up out of my hair because we had the convertible
Oh yeah.
and a lot of sunscreen, but not enough. But it was beautiful. It was the being near the water for me again, which is something that relaxes me.
Smell the ocean and the
Right.
breeze.
And I'm sure there are places that are horrible, like, traffic wise when we drove through certain spots, but being clean and the sunshine and just being out for that length of time and not having any worries.
Yeah.
Um, Josh and I drove from Monterey to San Diego because you told us we needed to go to the zoo.
Yeah.
Um, we got a hotel because I don't like to drive at night, and we got ice cream and we watched a movie in the room. And that was one of the best things with Josh because they had just opened a new wing in that particular hotel, so everything was bright, new, and shiny. And we didn't care if we were going to bed early. We didn't care if we were just hanging out in the room. We got what do you call it? Sweet Frog. We found a Sweet Frog place because that was the thing at the time, I guess. We got ice cream with all the, the frozen yogurt with all the toppings. Went back to the hotel, each a bed, sat and watched. And I think it was Hunger Games maybe that we watched. I think it was one of those. I can't remember.
Right.
I think it was Hunger Games or maybe Divergent. I don't know. It was one of those. But it was just really neat to be with him because he wasn't stressed about being in the car because I'm not the most directionally.
Well, yeah.
I'll say I'm directionally challenged. I'll leave it at that. Um, but it didn't matter because we were just together and wherever we ended up, we ended up. And if we didn't get somewhere, and that's the part I think that was for me, like we tried to fit in things like you wanted to do specific things when we were there, but when we just got on the road and went, now I prayed on the way back because we got stuck in LA, couldn't 6 lanes of traffic or whatever, and I couldn't get over to where I needed to be. So I just prayed to God, pick me up, take me, put me in whatever lane I need to be because I think I went around 4 or 5 times and traffic in that area was horrible. And I thought, oh my God, we're never gonna make it back. We're gonna miss the flight. That was probably the most stressful time ever. But once we got past that, it was just enjoyable.
Yeah, I think that was a great trip for everybody,
Hmm.
even though I worked. And let me tell you about the work. It was amazing because it was an old abandoned or whatever hospital.
Mm.
They didn't have AC or anything, so they would open the windows on all the floors,
Hmm.
and because it was up on the hill or the mountain side of the mountain, I mean, you could see Monterey, you could see the town, you could see the ocean, everything, and the breeze from the ocean and the sea smell filled everything, and
Hmm.
it was a very happy place. I enjoyed working there just because I love the fresh ocean smell, and just kind of reminds me of happiness and stuff. But
And
yeah,
again, I think because it was a different place, we weren't here. We weren't stuck in DC traffic, and we weren't stuck in the monotony of it. It was something different.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, I enjoyed that, and I hope to have many more like that. I know it's chaotic right now, and we're gonna try to put the house on the market here next month, and maybe hopefully it will sell quick. Maybe it won't, but I don't know. But once we have that, we have a plan in place, and then we're gonna do a slow roam throughout the U.S. and try to.
we don't have a plan.
There is no.
We have ideas.
Okay.
We have ideas, but we don't have a plan, and that's very different than normal personality.
Yeah.
I like lists. I like a plan. I like to know what the end goal is or the outcome, and we don't know what that is. So that's very different for me.
Is that because your job? You're an auditor by trade.
That's one of my
Well, one
many.
of your many trades. Um, so when it comes to travel, it sounds like you don't like spontaneous travel, or do you like planned traveling more?
No, what I'm saying is, since quote unquote retiring, I feel like I'm up for the adventure. Like, let's
You
just
don't care where, what, or how.
no, just
So
something.
spontaneous
Right.
and
I want to just get on the road and find positive things, find something neat. Like when we first got together and we took our first road trip and didn't kill each other, and we left Washington State and drove down to Louisiana.
Louisiana. Yes, I remember
And
that well.
as we were going through things and saw the sign about the thing,
Yeah, the thing.
didn't know what the thing
You
was,
see it for hundreds and hundreds of miles.
but come and see the thing, do the thing, all about the thing, and we got to the thing, and it was ridiculous,
It's
but it was
stupid, but
just,
yeah.
and it was just the oddity of it. I think that's what I've enjoyed most when we say get in the car and we say, okay, we just pick an area. Like when we ended up in Niagara Falls,
That was kind of
it was
spontaneous.
by accident, right?
Yeah.
We said pack a bag. Was a long weekend or it was just a weekend. I can't remember, but just pack a bag. Let's just drive that direction.
Yeah.
And as we were driving, we passed sunflower fields that were amazing.
Amazing. Yep.
Um, and then we ended up, and you actually almost put us in Canada without passports or anything like that, because that was
A little illegal maneuvers to get back.
years and years and years ago. But so it was take a right and go to Canada, or take a left to Canada, a right to New York State. And we're like, oh, okay, I guess we're going to New York State.
Yeah, that was
But
Canada.
we ended up right in Niagara Falls, and literally right at the
Yeah,
falls.
it was
And
amazing.
so
That was an amazing trip too.
yeah, so we definitely did not plan for that because we did not have enough clothes. We didn't have the right clothes, like for keeping warm when it got so cold
Yeah.
at night walking by the
It
falls.
was great. I enjoyed that. I can still hear the falls in my head when I
Mhm.
think about it.
But the rush of standing under it, and
Yes.
for me, again, I go back, and it's just things in my head. Like my grandparents traveled, my mama and papa Terrio, my mom's mom and dad,
Yeah.
and there were pictures of them going to Niagara Falls. Now, I believe they were on the Canadian side because they traveled with another couple, and so I just have pictures and I have some of the, postcards or whatever they sent me. But just that feeling of, oh hey, now I've been somewhere that they've been, and for me that was kind of cool because we didn't get to do that when I was growing up. My first vacation was with my best friend and her family. Um, so, yeah, I know.
No, no, you're
Um,
good.
it just there's just so many different things, and for me it was a little bit of a thrill. So when we got back and looked at the pictures and thought about the memories and some of the different things that we saw, um, it was just again another just an amazing moment for me, and to think that hey, they were here at one point in time. They did the Cave of the Winds or whatever, the Maid of the Mist. They went on the boat and they wore the
Yep.
crazy plastic ponchos that don't stop you from getting wet. But
Yeah, one
you know
color was for Canadians, the other color was for the U.S. side.
yeah, so I think we had yellow. We
Yeah,
had
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think we had yellow ponchos, but um,
It was an amazing time. I
yeah,
I do miss
standing
that.
under the falls and feeling the rush of that, and knowing where I grew up, how I was raised and everything like that, you don't necessarily think about those things. So just being able to have that experience and being able to take Josh and see something amazing like that. The same as like California to me, that was amazing. That was places that my grandparents had been. We walked across we walked on the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yep.
Josh was terrified of heights. You were ridiculous about trying to get him to stand on the edge. And
Yeah.
but those are the things that I want. The adventure, the here's some place we've never been. Look how beautiful the area is. And just to try to soak it all in, and yes, take a ton of pictures because I can't say when I'm old and gray because I'm already there, I feel like, but to have that to have that memory as long as I can keep it, and for it to be positive things.
That's good.
But I
Okay.
think
Well,
I think
I,
that's enough
yeah, I think that's enough for
because
this.
I'm
I'm gonna go ahead.
outside sweating.
We'll stop this and we'll do another one. But this one here, we'll get up and edit it and throw it up. And I'm gonna continue talking with my wonderful current wife. I'm just joking.
Oh,
My beautiful wife.
sorry.
Oh. But yeah, so we're gonna probably try this series out and see how it works. So I will see everybody on the next one. Later.